Yes. So, dear participants, it's time for the last day of this series, which is exclusively dedicated for refunds. We welcome our expert speaker, CA Jaykishan Vidhwani, who has agreed to share the insights on GST refund. And again, we have got good question and answer sessions for last 2 days, and we expect participants to share their queries again today in the chat box as well as Q&A after the session. Today, Jaykishan is going to cover rest of the refund types as well as a little bit of recap of both the refunds which we covered in last two sessions. So without wasting much of time, I welcome CA Jaykishan Vidhwani on this day 3 of this GST series session. And over to you, Jaykishan. You are muted. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So thank you once again, Sridhar bhai, for this opportunity to present my views on GST refund. So for as you said in the opening remarks, that agenda of today's session is I have bifurcated my agenda, wherein first 30 minutes I will be taking the remaining refund categories. Next 15 to 20 minutes would be the recap, and last almost 20 minutes we can take the Q&A session. So it would be beneficial for conclusion of this entire series. So as our objective for this entire decoding series is to see you all happy with the refunds. So moving ahead with the today's agenda. So today we will be covering refund under the cash ledger, means if there is an excess balance in the cash ledger, if it is arising out of any assessment order or any year-end adjustments and refund to unregistered persons, and also if it is on account of wrong payment of tax under the wrong head. So this four we will be covering. So this is a unique situation wherein there is excess balance in my electronic cash ledger. Electronic cash ledger is as good as my bank account, wherein I deposit the amount of GST, and wherever I need to utilize, I can utilize for the payment of tax. Now, what could be the scenarios in which there could be the balance lying in the electronic cash ledger and I want the refund of the same? So there could be multiple scenarios. In the initial years of GST, we all have noticed that tax was firstly there was no facility to adjust any wrong payment of tax. For example, 10,000 was payable as CGST, and under the tax option, the challan was wrongly sent to the client of 10,000 CGST, but under the subcategory of cess or penalty or fees. Now, in entire lifetime, 10,000 rupees fees was not going to get exhausted. So the only option lying with us was to claim the refund. Subsequently, government realized that this adjustment and this refund procedure was becoming cumbersome. Hence, they came up with a facility of first of all adjusting. So, if even if you have paid the tax under wrong head, wrong subhead, you can easily first of all transfer. And even after the transfer of such cash balance, even still if the refund is, if you are not able to utilize, then you can claim the refund of the same. So it should be unutilizable cash, then only it is always advisable to go for refund of the electronic cash ledger. Second scenario could be the TDS and TCS provisions under the GST. Kindly note, I am not talking about the TDS TCS of income tax. there are provisions of section 51 and 52 under GST Act also, which prescribe the deduction of TDS and TCS applicable. So, in case any government department has deducted TDS, then the same would be reflected in your electronic cash ledger once you file the GST return for the TDS. Similarly, e-commerce operator, if the same has deducted TCS, then it would be reflected in your electronic cash ledger. Now, one question arises, will I have to prove anything before the authorities? Because it is as good as I said in the starting of the session that this is my bank account which I am claiming. This is my bank balance which I am claiming as refund. So there were many issues. Some officers were asking that you are not eligible. Why are you claiming this refund? Electronic cash ledger. This could be your pre-deposit. You have paid and you are claiming, or etc. We needed to establish. So government came up with certain clarifications. So now moving ahead, what are the documents that are required with this claim? Means claim is single in all the three mentioned scenario, wrong payment, TCS, TDS. The claim needs to be made under the refund of balance lying in the electronic cash ledger. Now, what are the documents that needs to be given along with this application? Firstly, an undertaking needs to be given, which is common for all refund claims, that if you claim excess refund and if it's subsequently held by the government that it has been claimed in excess, then you will have to return this amount along with interest and penalty. You are giving an undertaking to the government. Second is statement 7. And last is self-declaration, wherein if the refund amount is less than 2 lakhs, then self-declaration that incidence has not been passed. And if it is more than 2 lakhs, then CA certificate is required. So I have taken a practical screenshot of the actual portal wherein we would be claiming this refund. So firstly, under the refund tab, we need to select. These are the all categories which will be available to you. So for your, we need to select that refund is on account of excess balance in the electronic cash ledger. Secondly, it would be visible that what is the balance that is available. You can claim only the available balance that is today as on the date of claiming the refund application as refund. After that, maximum available will be shown. The amount you want to claim as refund, you have to select, and bank account in which you want the refund. Now, there are certain clarifications that are issued by the government. So, firstly, I will refer to this circular, which is 166/2021, wherein what is that time limit we had seen at the first session, that relevant date of claiming any refund, 2 years timeline, whether the same is applicable to this type of refund. So the answer is clear no, that as per provisions of section 54(1), the time limit of 2 years of the relevant date, which is applicable to all other cases, is not applicable in this case of refund of excess balance. One another thing, if you would have observed that in previous slide, that there was no refund period. Generally, if we create a refund application, it asks us that for what period are you claiming this refund? For example, October to December 2024. Which period are you claiming for? In this case, straight away there is no refund period that we need to give to the authorities. Only balance lying in my electronic cash ledger is eligible to me as a refund. Further, by this circular, it was clarified that this requirement of CA certificate is not there. After that, the query that was given by the officers was answered, wherein it was they ask us that why are you claiming this refund? You every month you have the RCM liability. You can adjust subsequently this cash credit in your ledger. So, for example, I am a supplier, government supplier, and my TDS is lying. So they were saying that बॉस आपका तो आरसीएम क्रेडिट आरसीएम भरने का आएगा ही फ्यूचर में, तो उसके सामने भी ये क्रेडिट यूज कर सकते हो. So the answer was given by the circular, wherein I have highlighted that the registered person is at full liberty to discharge his tax liability in respect of supplies made by him during a tax period, either through debit in the electronic credit or through cash ledger, as per his choice and availability of the balance in the state ledger. Any amount which remains unutilized in electronic cash ledger after discharge of such tax dues and other dues payable under GST Act, the same can be refunded to the registered person as excess balance in electronic cash ledger. So the officers cannot force you to utilize this amount against the payment of RCM only. You have the liberty whether to claim this as refund or utilize for the tax payment, current or future. So with this, I conclude the category of excess balance in electronic cash ledger. Moving on to the next category, which is wrong payment of tax. So this image clearly shows that what an assessee feels, because he is thrown with the challenge of correctly self-assessment. Means he has to correctly determine that whether CGST, SGST is payable or IGST is payable. So during the self-assessment, there can certain errors also can happen. So whether if wrongly tax has been paid, so whether the same can be claimed as refund or not, the answer is yes, you can claim, and there is provision that no interest would be applicable in such cases. So I have highlighted one word in this slide. It is tax paid on intrastate supply, which is subsequently held to be interstate supply and vice versa. Subsequently held means at the time of you making the transaction or filing your GST returns, you are not aware that this you are paying tax under the wrong held. Subsequently held means that it has been held by either any authority during the audit or in based on your self verification or internal review process, you have come to know that you have paid the tax under this wrong head. So section 77 empowers you to claim this refund. So this section addresses the situations wherein tax has been paid on interstate, but it is later determined that the supply should have been treated as interstate or vice versa for allowing the refund claim. So as I said that this wrong payment of tax under the wrong head can be identified by two persons. It is by the assessee on its own, or this has been identified by the officer during the audit. If it is identified by the officer during the audit, then the time limit for 2 years start, means the relevant date wherein you can maximum file your refund claim starts from the date of the passing of the order. In such cases, you can claim the refund also under the category of refund on account of appeal or assessment or audit. So we have two options. We can claim either under 77 under this head also and appeal head also. If in order it is clearly prescribed that you have this wrong payment was made, you have subsequently rectified and you have correctly paid under the actual payable head, then you can file this refund claim. So, and other is on its own. So notification was issued on notification number 35/2021, wherein 2 years were the given timeline from the date of that notification. So the timeline has expired on 23 September. But according to me, if uh, this mistake has been found by you, and if it is before the next year deadline of 13 November, you can adjust on your own. Or if the same will be also same can be also be claimed by on the ground that if any audit has been undertaken, then you can claim if you have paid this amount under the correct head. So for this same again, we need to submit this undertaking that we, if any amount has been wrongly refunded, the same will be repaid along with interest and penalty. So I have taken one practical also scenario for this. So this is the statement you need to upload. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
This slide, this one is visible. This Excel is visible, no?
No, Excel is not visible. Now Excel
Now,
is visible.
yes, yes. So this is the actual statement 6, which utility we need to fill in, wherein the GST document details, selecting that what which document you had wrongly paid the tax, details of the actual transaction means what you have discharged earlier and subsequently held, means we need to fill in this detail and validate this sheet before getting the refund at the time of making the refund application. So these are the columns wherein both the details of original transaction, what you have already reported and what is subsequently held needs to be reported. Yes. So certain times it taking the refund from government feels like that we are getting the refund same from the same reluctant friend who is repaying a loan. So अगर हमने किसी को पैसा दिया, सो इंडिया में वो रूल है कि हमको उससे पैसा वापस लेने के लिए हमको हमारी नीड बतानी पड़ती है कि बॉस अब तू हमको पैसा दे वापस. So it gives the same feeling while taking the refund from the government. Moving ahead, the next category. So today we have covered two refund types. First is the excess balance in the electronic cash ledger. Second is the payment under the wrong head, which is subsequently rectified and correctly tax has been paid. Moving ahead is the next category of excess payment of tax. Now, if you have declared certain transaction and paid tax, and the time limit of next year November has also expired, then only and if you have not adjusted the amount that was excess paid, the only option that is available with you is to claim the refund under this category of excess payment of tax. So government firstly said that if you can adjust in GSTR 3B, it is always welcome that subsequent liability gets adjusted. But if you are not able to adjust, then the only option that is available is refund of filing of refund under the category of refund of excess payment of tax. Now, for example, for 23-24, if I had excess paid tax of rupees 10 lakhs and I am currently claiming as refund, so whether this entire 10 lakhs would be refunded to me in the electronic cash, means in my bank account. So there was one lacuna in the law, drafting of law, that initially people were paying taxes through credit, and the vendor they were filing the refund claim. the entire amount was getting credited to their bank account. So government has come up with the circular wherein they have changed this formula to that extent is okay, you have made the excess payment, fine, but we will give you the refund in the manner in which you had originally paid the tax. For example, I am claiming a refund that I have paid tax 10 lakh rupees excess in the return of March 2024. If the same is now being claimed as refund, I would be refunded this amount in the original ratio of set off of March 2024 liability. For example, if 10 lakh is paid, out of 10 lakh, 4 lakh is paid via challan and 6 lakh is paid via credit, utilizing the credit, then 6 lakh would be recredited in my electronic credit ledger, and 4 lakh that was originally paid via challan would be only granted to me in my bank account. So by this amendment, they have rectified this lacuna. So while claiming this refund of excess payment of tax, we need to always see that what was the original source of payment. If the same is credit, then you will be granted the refund under the electronic credit ledger. And if the same is cash, and that means challan, you will be granted the refund under the category of electronic cash in your bank account. So I have taken one example also. Actual sales is 1 lakh 2500 2500 CGST SGST. Total 10 and 5,000 other liability. Total 10,000 paid, out of which 7,000 is paid via credit ledger and 3,000 is via cash ledger. Now excess paid is rupees 5,000. Old law, entire 5,000 was refunded via cash. New law says that if you have utilized 70% of, you have discharged the original 10,000 liability, 70% via credit ledger, then only the 3,500 would be credited to your PMT3 and 1,500 would be credited to your bank account. So in this case also they have seen the original payment source. If what source you have utilized for making the original wrong payment of tax means that excess payment of tax is the same source in which you will be getting the refund. So with this, I complete today's third category of refund, which is the excess payment of tax. Moving ahead, this is something new. Refund to the unregistered person. Earlier, what used to happen is that in the long contracts, just like insurance and long-term contracts, insurance, flat booking, real estate sector, in that the tenure of the scheme was more than 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. So if someone is booked at the initial level, they used to pay GST to the builder. Now, once the time limit for CN is established, gone, and the booking was getting cancelled, the customer was at the losing end because the builder was not returning him the GST amount paid. So, for example, I have booked the flat today, paid 20 lakh amount, 5% GST, 1 lakh is paid as GST. After 3 years, if I cancel my booking on a genuine reason or for any dispute or some any other reason, then this 1 lakh paid was becoming cost to me. So government has come up with a formula and allowed that in such cases, even the unregistered person can also claim the refund. Now, what is the procedure for claiming the refund? That has been prescribed by circular number 188 of the 2022. Relevant date in this case means that time limit of 2 years which is the most important timeline for the refund, will start from the date of issuance of letter of cancellation by the supplier or the builder. And the maximum refund that can be claimed is the tax declared on the invoices in which such refund is being claimed. Now, this is the extract of the circular that in order to enable such unregistered home buyers or unregistered person in case of cancellation of long-term contracts for supply of services of construction, there has or where long-term insurance policy has been terminated, a new functionality has been made available on the common portal, which allows unregistered persons to take a temporary registration only for this particular refund purpose. And this has been also notified by notification number 26. So notification provides the authority, and to actually execute the same, the circular provides the guideline. So what are the details required? So details required in case of unregistered person would be the PAN, Aadhaar, mobile number of such person, email ID, bank account in which he wants the refund, ledger copy in the books of builder, bank statement highlighting that he has made to the payment to the builder along with GST, copy of receipts that have been issued by the builder, copy of the original agreement entered with the builder, and the cancellation agreement, which is the proof that this unit booking has been cancelled. So we all have applied for the GST registration of a GST registration where we generate a TRN and get the approval on voluntary or if we cross the threshold. There is a difference between the application of temporary number for an unregistered person. So I have taken a particular screenshot from the portal wherein for obtaining a temporary registration just for the purpose of claiming of refund of unregistered person. This is the procedure wherein under the user services we get a tab for generate user ID for the unregistered applicant. After that, there is this statutory warning that this functionality is only for applicants who are not registered or are not liable to be registered under this act. This temporary ID is only for facilitating certain facilities to unregistered person. Now, what could be such facilities? It could be advanced ruling or temporary casual person or this particular refund, such as filing of application or advanced ruling or to supply through e-commerce operators. Do you wish to continue? Then if we select yes, then the actual reason comes that what could be the reason. Then for if we select to claim refund, then only based on the PAN, email and bank details, we can get the temporary number. Once this temporary number is granted, you can log in, upload the documents and connect with the jurisdictional authorities along with all the documents as listed here, wherein we need to establish that the contract has been cancelled, and based on the same, the refund can be claimed. There is also one statement 8 which needs to be submitted online by the unregistered person. It includes GST of the supplier, that is builder, document in invoice detail, wherein the receipts have been issued by the builder, taxes paid, details of payment of invoice value to the supplier means on which date you made the payment, details of payment received against the cancellation means you would have received the basic amount. For example, continuing with my example, 1 crore advance paid. I like GST paid. The builder will return only basic 1 crore to me. The 5 lakhs I have to take from the government. So basic on what dates you have received the amount of 1 CR from back from the builder. and the amount of refund that is being claimed. So this statement is under the Rule 89(2) KA, which is specifically inserted by the notification number 26 to facilitate this refund of unregistered person. So with this, we complete the fourth category for today, which is the refund to the unregistered person in case of long-term contracts. Moving ahead, the last category, which is residuary category. So I would say that it is just like IFRS category under income tax. So if your income is not get classified anywhere above, you can call it as IFRS. So there are certain instances wherein we are not able to judge that under which category we can claim the refund. For example, the classic example of Mohit Mindel's case, many of the assessees had paid the amount of RCM on the ocean freight. Now, subsequent to the ruling that the amount was not and the amount of credit was not going to be utilized. So, under which category to file such refund? Because you are not direct party to that case, but still, if you have paid this amount and you want refund, the only option that is available to you is refund on account of any other category. So it is a residuary category. If in terms of 54, but no specific refund category is available at the common portal, then you can claim under this category. Electronic credit ledger will not get debited at the time of generation of this ARM. So it is an important thing to note that in all the earlier categories, except the supply to SEZ with payment of tax and deemed export, the amount was getting debited from your electronic credit ledger or cash ledger. So if you are claiming refund of unutilized ITC for export of goods or inverted, the balance lying in your electronic credit ledger will get blocked. It is just like an application for the IPO. If the refund is granted, then the amount is will get debited and you will be getting the amount in the bank account. And if the same is rejected, it would be recredited to your electronic credit ledger. So there is a specific provision that in this case of residuary category for any other type, this amount will not be debited initially at the time of generation of ARN. Once you file this application, it goes into the portal of the officer. And if the officer is satisfied with the refund claim and the category of the refund claim and your eligibility of the claim, then the proper officer shall request the taxpayer in writing to debit the said amount from his electronic credit ledger and submit the DRC 03. So the procedure would be you will file the refund application under this any other category. The amount will not be debited at that time in your electronic credit ledger. This application would be reflected to the officer. The officer will and verify the claim, and if found appropriate that this refund is liable to be sanctioned, then the officer will ask you that firstly you submit the DRC 03 and debit your electronic credit ledger. Once you submit the DRC 03, then you will be granted the refund. Classic example that merchant exporters claiming refund of unutilized ITC under 89(4)(b) of the CGST rule in case of point 1 purchases. So if you are purchasing under point 1 and you will be exporting under compulsory under LUT, so you are not eligible to claim under that regular refund category. You will have to go with this another residuary category. So As I said, that claim could be example of ocean freight paid under the pretense of, and the same is now getting refunded on account of judgment of any court. So you are not direct party, but you will be eligible for refund under this any other category. So once the claim is examined, the amount balance refundable would be granted to you in your bank account. So with this, we have officially covered all the categories that are in the refund under the GST law. So we will take a quick recap of what we covered in the first session, second session, and today. So if I run you through run you again through the slide, firstly would be that on first day we discussed that what is the base of GST refund under and what are the law provisions of the law. So firstly, under the Act, Section 54 to 58, Section 54, as I said, gives you the entire right of refund, and it is the God section. After that, Rules 89 to 97A and circulars. In the circular, most important circular is circular number 125. Then we moved on to discuss that what are the types of refund that are available. So firstly, refund of accumulated ITC, only two scenarios: refund on account of export of goods and services and supply to SEZ without payment of tax, or inverted duty structure. Second broad classification is refund of taxes originally paid. So these are the scenarios in which the taxes which you have originally paid would be given as refund. So on account of supply to SEZ with payment of tax, excess balance in electronic cash ledger, supplier or recipient of deemed export, taxes originally paid as interested subsequently held to be interested, and vice versa, any excess payment of tax on account of finalization of assessment and appeal, transaction by UN bodies, and refund to international tourists. So these are the categories of refund in which you have originally paid the tax and you are claiming the refund. For unutilized balance lying, only two scenarios are allowed. That is export of goods without payment of tax and the inverted duty structure. Other than that, no refund is eligible under the GST law. So we started with export of goods with payment and without payment. In with payment, we discussed that this is an automated route of refund. Automated route is the refund would be granted, the shipping bill would be deemed that it is the application for refund. It would be deemed application for refund only when you have filed valid GSTR 1 3B and you are not classified as a risky exporter. If you are classified as a risky exporter, then the refund would be withheld and an automatic application would be generated by the custom authority and would be reflected in your GST portal. Once this classification is done, you need to approach your jurisdictional authorities and claim the refund as under the manual process, and entire law of refund under the LUT would be applicable, though you have originally exported under the with payment category, but still you will have to claim the refund under manual procedure, because only reason being that you have been classified as a risky exporter. Then we discuss the errors which could be delaying your refund in with payment. SB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is the main one wherein invalid or mismatch in the invoice number. After that, we have proceeded with that in case of export with payment of tax, if the amount is not realized between the amount of export proceeds is not realized within the period permitted by the FEMA, then you need to refund the amount back to the government along with interest. And once the payment are received, you will get the refund. Nextly, in the next thing we discussed that what is the timeline for the claiming of refund, means as and when the assessee feels can he claim the refund? The answer is a strict no. 2 years time limit has to be seen for this purpose, and for 2 years calculation of 2 years, there were multiple scenarios that in case of export, when the ship leaves India by land, when the goods pass the custom frontier, by post, when the goods are dispatched by the concerned post office. For deemed export, you need to see the date on which the return is furnished for deemed export. For services, the receipt of payment or issuance of invoice. For decree, the date of communication of order. For unutilized inverted duty structure, the date of return for which this refund claim is arising. And in any other case, it was the payment of tax. So this completed our first part of refund of export with payment of tax. Secondly, we did export without payment of tax, wherein the formula was A into B by C, turnover of zero rated supply of turnover of zero rated turnover to the total turnover, means the adjusted turnover, multiplied by the net input tax credit, wherein the only thing which was not allowed as refund was the refund of the capital goods. The maximum value that could be taken as the zero rated supply was the 1.5 times of the local value of such supply. For example, you are supplying for 100 rupees and maximum 150 rupees you can take as the value of zero rated supply. Then we discussed the provisions of zero rated supply of services, wherein turnover of zero rated supply of services means the payment received during the period less the advance for which services would be rendered in future was to be deducted, and the services which have been rendered in current year but the advances were received in the previous period were added. After that, what is the maximum refund that can be claimed based on this formula, or the balance in your electronic credit ledger as on today, or the balance in the electronic credit ledger as on that date of the period for which the refund is being claimed. One, the lower of the three will be eligible. Once this amount is finalized, you can claim this entire refund firstly from IGST and balance from C&S equally, or if there is any shortfall but there is sufficient balance in the third ledger, you can claim from the same. Then we discuss the entire flow of refund claim, wherein RFD 1 is application. If the same is accepted, in 2 it is acknowledgement is issued. If there is any clerical deficiency, then RFD 3 will be issued. 4 is the provisional grant of 90% refund. RFD 5 provides the advice of payment advice. 6 is the order of rejection and clear sanction. 8 is for notice SC and any technical deficiency. 9 is reply, and 11 is the LUT. So once this is done, the refund of export was completed. In yesterday's session, we saw that inverted duty structure mainly on account of rate of goods being higher than the rate of output supplies. Then the refund of input tax credit was eligible. In that, the formula was A into B by C. Divide A into B by C minus D into B by E. Turnover of inverted supplies divided by total turnover multiplied by net ITC. Only of goods will be allowed. Here, the refund won't be eligible for input services and capital goods. For this, CA certificate is not required technically, but only it is mentioned in the circular. And if your the outward supply falls under this category, blocked category by the government, then you won't be eligible for the inverted duty refund, even if your structure of duty is inverted. And few points that were important that needed to be noted was that there is no one-to-one correlation required. Means, for example, you are purchasing at 5, 12, 18 and selling at 12. So entire refund would be eligible. It is not like that 5 and 12 is not eligible for inverted duty refund. Next is that one query was also asked that if there is trading turnover and manufacturing turnover, whether this would be eligible. So the answer is that for inverted turnover, only the manufacturing entities would be eligible. The trading turnover you need to exclude from the calculation of inverted duty structure, and hence the only manufacturing turnover would be eligible for the refund. Another query was that whether in different points of time, whether today the rate of tax is 18% and tomorrow is 12%, but the product is same. I gave an example of mobile. Whether the same would be eligible? The answer is no. Only because of different points of time, the refund won't be eligible. We also discussed certain scenarios that what suggestions can be given to the client. So first scenario was that our client is having huge capital expenditure. So whether we should go for with payment or without payment of tax. So the answer was that if there is higher capital expenditure, means the machinery and production, higher amount of machinery, then it is always advisable to go for with payment of tax because you will be getting the entire refund. Second scenario we discussed was wherein the cess was involved. If the cess is involved, it is always advisable to go without payment of tax because in with payment the cess won't be funded. Third scenario is that huge stock is there. In that scenario, it is always advisable to go without payment of tax because it would be refunded on immediate basis. Another thing was discussed that in case of inverted duty refund, that if, for example, my pump manufacturers 12% is the output rate and it falls under the inverted duty structure, then it is always advisable to go for LUT refund in that case. If you go for inverted, then permanent with payment of tax, then permanent 6% would be blocked. So this completed our discussion for inverted duty refund. Nextly, we discussed for supply to SEZ of goods and services. In case the supply is of goods, the important document that needed to establish the claim is the endorsement on the invoice by the SEZ officer. If there is endorsement, then the refund would be granted. And in case of services, the certificate from the SEZ officer that these services have been received in the SEZ. Moving on, we discussed regarding the deemed export. Deemed export, we discussed that if the recipient is holding following licenses, that advance authorization, EPCG or EOU, then earlier the government was only allowing to procure from outside India. But now even local procurements are also allowed, wherein you either both the supplier or the recipient both can claim the refund. In this case, it is important to note that one who bears the burden of tax will be eligible for the refund. So, for example, 1 crore basic invoice and 18 lakhs is GST. So, if the recipient is paying entirely 1 crore 18 lakhs to the supplier, that means the burden has been passed and the recipient would be eligible. And if the supplier is receiving only 1 CR, then the 18 lakhs GST that is paid to the government. In this transaction, kindly note that GST of 18 lakhs will be paid to the government. Either who, will get the refund. So 18% will be paid by supplier, and if he receives only basic amount, then effectively he has borne the burden of tax and he will be eligible for the refund. So this is the only category where there is an option for both the supplier and the recipient to claim the refund. After that, today's session, wherein we discuss the balance in the electronic cash ledger, which is lying in excess. What could be the scenarios? It could be the wrong payment of tax or the balance of the TDS and TCS lying in my electronic cash ledger. The same is eligible. The government cannot ask you to adjust the same. It is at your wish that if you want to claim the refund, and the same would be eligible. It is as good as your bank account. The time limit of 2 years is not applicable on this. After that, we discuss that what could be the scenario wherein the tax you have genuinely paid as during the original transaction you have paid as CGST, SGST, and subsequently it is held that this transaction is interstate and you were required to pay the IGST or vice versa. Whether the refund would be eligible, the answer is yes, it would be under section 77. What is the procedure? If it is found by the officer, then 2 years time limit would be starting from the order. You can claim under this head also, and on the head under the head of this refund on account of assessment, audit, or appeal. So we can very well claim under that category. Next, we saw the refund of excess payment of tax. What are the scenarios in which there could be excess payment of tax if the time limit of November has expired, then you can claim. The refund would be granted to you in your original payment method, means the original route through which you had paid. You're the wrong payment. For example, if you have paid through cash, then the amount will be granted in your bank account. If you have paid through credit, the same amount will be granted to you in the electronic credit ledger. Next, we discuss the recently introduced refund to the unregistered person, wherein on account of cancellation of long-term contract, which may be the purchase of a real estate property or the insurance. If you are eligible for refund and the builder is only giving you the basic amount, then you can very well claim as an unregistered recipient, wherein the application needs to be made based on the PAN and from the 2 years from the date of cancellation of contract and on submission of appropriate document and establishing the fact that you have not received the GST amount back from the builder, you will be eligible for the refund. And at last, we have discussed the residue category. If the refund is nowhere fitting in all other categories which have been discussed earlier, then you can always go for the any other category. In this type of refund, the amount will not be initially debited from your electronic credit ledger. Once the amount is sanctioned, and the officer will ask you to file the DRC 03 for this debit, and once the same is filed, the officer will sanction. So with this, I officially conclude the lecture part of this series, wherein hopefully I have led from the confusion to clarity. And lastly, there was one question asked by this gentleman to Modi ji, wherein is the simplicity in GST? So he very in good way he answered that it is asymptomatic. It exists, but you cannot see. So we can see that even though it is my money, but to get back from the government is a difficult task. And I thank you all for the patient hearing and patient hearing during this entire series of GST refund. So as I had said in the starting that I will take first 30 minutes for 30 to 40 minutes for session, next 30 minutes to revise and recapitulate what all we have done, because it was a 3 day series, and last 20 to 30 minutes I am keeping open for the Q&A. So I will ask the management to open the forum.
Yes. So yes, it's time for question and answer. So I can see a few questions in the chat box as well as two question Q&A. I'm going with Q&A box first. So there's a question from Amul. Can refund be claimed if input and output goods are taxed at 5%, but due to input service and capital goods, there is accumulated ITC? Can this be covered under inverted duty?
Sorry, little bit slow.
Uh, Can refund be claimed if input and output goods are taxed at 5%, but due to input services and capital goods, there is accumulated ITC? Can this be covered under inverted duty? I think no.
No, the answer is clear no. I
Yeah.
had specifically highlighted in my this slide when
Yes.
I said that only on account if your inverted duty is because of the inverted duty rate of goods, then only you will be eligible for the refund. So I am sharing this slide once again for
Hmm.
the better clarity of the participant.
Yes.
Is the screen visible?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So
So
another question is refund related to 86B 1% payment. Can we claim that 1% paid under 86B, which is paid?
yes, one person as I already answered this that it can be claimed under this
Okay.
any other category.
Yes. There is a question. If we are filing refund for 23-24 and the balance at the end of that period is say CGST 50, SGST 50 and total 100. And the balance as on today, on date of application is CGST 0 and SGST 120. Then can we claim refund of 100 being lower from SGST head?
But see, originally at the time, as far as I go with the question, that at the end of the return period, it was 50-50. And today it is 120 in the SGST head.
Yeah.
So the answer is no, lower of the three would be eligible.
Okay.
Uh,
So there is another question, whether scrap sales, which is taxable at 5%, generated during manufacturing of goods is also be included in inverted turnover.
Means, uh, what is your main inverted turnover? If it the main is inverted turnover, only five, you cannot claim the refund particularly only for this 5% thing.
So so if I understand it rightly and reframe the statement, so is it only the sales which is at the lower rate, or even the scrap sales at the lower rate can be claimed for claiming inverted duty refund?
So, for academic purpose, we can argue that it is a supply because scrap sale is also a supply. I won't deny the fact, and you can effectively put it in the formula. But if uh, you the amount will be so meager that it would be not be viable to claim this refund. But yes, you can claim that 5% supply is there or output. But your main business, again, the department will argue that your main business is not to supply the
Yeah.
scrap. It is your main business is to supply of that. So academically, we can all argue this thing, but technically, it won't be eligible for you.
Okay. So if it is in, there are 100 lines and in between one line goes and you get, it's fine. Otherwise, technically speaking, scrap is not something that is your actual supply, which is eligible under
And we
inverted duty.
cannot say on this official phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And the
So
government is taking an undertaking from you.
no, no, no.
And
I'm just discussing about the probabilities and possibilities.
I'm saying that Sridhar bhai, government is taking an undertaking, even if it is goes from one
Yeah,
office,
they will recover it.
they will recover it. Yes, yes.
Yes. So there is another question on a lighter moment. So take home the message that it is not a supply which is eligible for,
Yes, yes.
as Jaykishan said. So next question, if I pay tax on particular bill and raise a credit note on the same bill in next month, however, there is no B2B sale in subsequent months in order to adjust, can I claim refund of the tax paid earlier through RFD 01? If so, what procedure I need to follow and what documents I need to submit? Cholan,
See,
I think Jaykishan, yesterday also we took a similar kind of case. So what I feel, it is more of a professional judgment kind of thing, depending upon specific situation. Still, if you wish to answer, you can answer.
this, if I pay tax on a particular bill and raise on the same bill, if if I pay tax on a particular bill and there is a credit note on the same bill in the subsequent month. That March and April thing we answered yesterday, that is the question.
What I understand is a little bit is assume I am having only one bill in say February 2025 GSTR 1, and I pay the tax in GSTR 3B of February. Now in March I have only one B2B entry, and that is a credit note which will create a negative outward liability. And assuming this is the scenario, can I claim the refund?
The answer would be no. For March month, if it is there is only one CN, then the system only won't allow you to validate the same. For Feb and March, if you combine the claim,
It will become
then
zero.
yes.
Yeah. So another question is, I'm a merchant exporter. I buy my goods on LUT and export the same on full payment of IGST. Can I get refund from the customs?
So, firstly, I would like to highlight here one thing that there is a misconception between all of us that there is a merchant exporter concept under GST. So, technically, there is no merchant exporter concept under GST. It was in past, wherein merchant exporter earlier used to be like that he is exporting the same goods he has received. Here in GST, they have only one concept of deemed export, or you are recipient under this notification number 40 or 41, wherein you receive the goods under 0.1% cover and you have to export the same goods as it is under the LUT. Now, this 0.1 refund, I have mentioned that it would be eligible under this refund of any other category.
Okay.
So that is the query, no? That 0.1 would be eligible. Custom won't grant it. Custom authority won't grant it. Only the GST authorities can grant it. Custom has only power to adjudicate the matter of refund pertaining to the IGST part. It's that IGST refund with payment would be with the custom authorities. If in this case you would be filing with the board, means this jurisdictional officer, and it would be eligible under that category. Custom
Okay.
won't be involved.
Okay. There is a good comments of thank you, sir, for good sessions. Please share presentation. So if you allow the presentation, please share the presentation with us. I will post the presentation in the description of this YouTube video so that anyone can refer to it. Right? Yes. Uh, can a exporter does export of goods at 0.1% and even procure goods at 0.1% from the, then can the exporter claim refund of 0.1% under other refund head?
Right. Action.
Export of good at 0.1%, I don't think so it's possible.
So the question must be that 0.1 का refund मिलेगा कि नहीं? So
0.1 refund is available that you already told yesterday. But export 0.1, I don't think so. There
it
is
is
export
allowed.
0.1 is.
So there was one in practical life. I have faced one scenario wherein 0.1 purchase is the trading of 0.1% goods allowed. The answer is no. You cannot trade locally. You have to compulsorily export within the 90 days of the receipt.
Okay. There is another question. In case of IGST refund with payment of tax, bills transmitted but not processed by IceGate for FY 21-22, can we claim refund?
Case is pending. Then there are very high chances that your case has been classified as the risky exporter. So there could be an automated generation refund application lying in your portal,
GST login.
in
Yeah.
your login, but you need to see whether it is there. If it is there, then you need. need to get the same adjudicated. Or there could be possibility that even order has been passed and you are not aware.
Hmm.
So kindly check the facts and we can respond accordingly, or we can connect or after the session.
Yeah. So in case of software industry of 100% export units, what are all items on which one is not eligible to claim refund against input tax credit received by them?
So 100% software industry, you are means zero rated supply of services. You are eligible for all the entire refund. Only the amount of capital goods ITC won't be eligible for refund.
Okay,
So
so the inputs and input services which are used for the furtherance of business, you can claim it, right? If
yes,
I
yes.
reframe it.
Eligible, yes, eligible credit would be eligible as refund. Only the capital goods won't be eligible, and also that capital goods has been defined.
Hmm.
Means you did not judge what would be the capital goods and what could not be the capital goods. Capital goods means what you have capitalized in your books of accounts, so that would be eligible as refund.
Okay. Okay. So there is a question in Q&A. I have paid excess tax in 3B due to mistake. In GST 1, there is no mistake. Time of amendment in 3B is gone. Can I get back through refund process then under what head? Or else can I claim by reducing current one's 3B? Tough question. Very
You
tough question.
can claim it from excess tax.
Okay. Right. But yes, be ready for communication with department. Yeah. Punit Verma ji is asking, thank you for good session, sir. Can you share this PPT on our mail? Punit ji, it won't be possible for us to track each and every mail and share it. It is very difficult task to share mails in bulk. But yes, we assure you that we will put the Google Drive link of the PPT in description of all the three videos. All the three videos are available on YouTube channel of Income Tax Bar Association. So anytime you can refer to. And I must say and acknowledge that the efforts put by CA Jaykishan Vidhwani has ensured that today it might be the one of the richest source as a material to refer, the videos to refer for refunds. And I'm sure everyone would be benefited. I request all the attendees, whoever is there, to share their views and their comments in the chat box before we end this session on refund. I'm sure it might have been most adding things for all the participants, and also your all the questions are covered. In case you are having any issue, you can always connect to CA Jaykishan Vidhwani. His mail ID is available in the PPT. So yes, you can share in your chat box your reviews. And also I would like to announce that we are coming up with a webinar on invoice management system. People are stuck, and we are coming up with one of the expert who is working on both the sides, X side as well as technology side. Tapas Uparelia, who is going to deliver a lecture, will be sharing the flyer soon. So stay tuned, and you can also get the notified about the upcoming programs from the Twitter handle of Income Tax Bar Association. We regularly post this. You can also join the Gyan Station WhatsApp community, where you will be updated about all these things. Yes. So I think with this, we are ending this session. I heartily thank on behalf of all the associations and all the participants, CA Jaykishan Vidhwani, for giving time and putting so much effort in making all the parts of refund working and solving lot of queries of all the participants. Any last word from your side, Jaykishan, as we are
Thank
just.
you all for the patient hearing. And yes, GST refund is a continuous evolving process. So we need to be updated for the same, and wish you all to very success and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. With this, we are ending the webinar. Thank you. Thank you all.